All right. What else we got going on?
Well, that's about it.
Okay.
Oh no, I got the water fill here, I guess.
Okay.
Strictly a gravity flow, because most of the time we're off grid and
Yeah.
carrying water in tanks and dumping into it,
Mm-hmm.
and locking, so nobody pours anything nasty in there on me.
There you go. I understand that. Yeah. A man can't be too careful when it comes
Well,
to stuff like that. Sometimes you just never know. You
Yeah,
know?
there's a lot of crazy people out there.
Tell
Not
me
that I
about
run
it.
into any of them, but
Uh-huh.
the fact that they might be there.
You could be talking to one right now and you don't even know.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about that.
Anyway, everybody, I'm standing here with James. Say hi to everybody, James.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Tell us a little bit about your trailer here. This is a 7x18, is that correct?
7x18, 6'6" ceiling, all aluminum. Custom ordered it with the door further back so I could put the bed and the table where I wanted them. And I don't think there was much else we did differently to it, just the door. And I think we flipped the axles over to get a little more clearance.
Okay, all righty. Now you did, originally it started out with 3,500 pound axles, but I see you have 5,200 pound axles on it now. So tell us a little bit about how that came to be.
Well, so last year in Idaho, we discovered that the spring hangers were breaking loose, and after some attempted repairs, we took it to a trailer shop at home there, and his recommendation was to completely rebuild the suspension and put in 5,200 pound axles. So trail's real nice right now, and hopefully it doesn't give us any more problems.
Fabulous, fabulous. And I see you've also got an extended tongue. I like to see that. And a weight distribution hitch, obviously, from the mounts that I see there.
Yep.
And you tow that with your Tahoe.
That's correct.
Yeah, how does it do?
I go slow up the mountains,
Yeah?
and other than that, it does fine. Really no complaints. I mean, more power is always better, but I don't want to pay for the gas. So.
Now, it's my understanding you live up in Iowa, and that's as far as we'll go with that, but you all do a little bit of winter camping.
A little bit, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And or you camp in higher elevations and
That's
things
for
like that
sure.
where it gets pretty cool at night.
Yep. Yeah.
So, and how long have you had this trailer?
So I got it in 2022,
Uh-huh.
and it took me about 6 months. Well, it took me 6 months to get it after I ordered it, and then it took me another 6 months to finish it out.
Yeah.
And so then, whatever, the next April, we took it out on the first trip and have had it for 3 years.
From the sound of things, it sounds like you guys have traveled quite a few miles with it too.
We put a few miles on it. We took it out to the West Coast. Well, that was the big trip that I had in mind when I built it, out to the West Coast, and then spent 4 weeks in Colorado the next year, up in the mountains mostly. And then last year we spent 6 weeks in Idaho and out there in that area. Ended up back in Colorado. Or seems like we always end up in Colorado. But,
Yeah, yeah. Well, Colorado's a beautiful state.
We enjoy the mountains.
You
so,
bet. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, can we do a quick walk around on the outside and
You bet.
look at a few features on it? You want to take us back and show us the garage
Sure.
area on it?
Got the propane there in a sealed off ventilated compartment, and the little generator just hooks up to one of those propane tanks. And if I'm in a place where I don't get good solar or it's cloudy, then I can just fire that up and run it for a couple hours in the evening, and I'm charged up again for another day until we get solar.
And speaking of solar, how much solar do you have up on
I've
top?
got 800 watts on the roof, 4 pairs wired in series to get 24 volts.
Okay. So a total of 800. So you have 800 watts. So you have 8 100-watt panels.
8
is that
100-watt
correct?
panels,
Okay, because
yes.
you said 4 pairs. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
4
Okay.
pairs.
Awesome. Awesome.
And then the rest of the stuff is, I see I left the door open the other day.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Yeah.
And I was like, well, you know what? I don't need to waste all that space. I can put, so those shelves come out so I can get to that stuff. But in the meantime, I can kind of get double duty out of it.
Sometimes I wish we had a garage at the back. It would make some things a little easier for us, that's for sure. And I see you got your water hoses hung here and a ladder. You got a telescoping ladder there.
Yeah, I want to be able to get up on the roof if I...
So let's step over here and see
Okay.
what you got for shore power coming in and all that stuff.
Oh, well, shore power is real easy because it's just running the charger is all it's ever doing.
Yeah.
Well, I shouldn't say that. I do have the capability. The shore power comes into a duplex outlet, and typically I just have the charger plugged into it. But I can move the trailer outlets plug over to that. And so because I'm using a little electric heater inside rather than running that through the inverter, I'm taking that off the shore power as well.
I see. I see.
Normally in use, that trailer outlet plug stays over there, and that other outlet that's the inverter. I'll let you can't see that because I've got the Christmas lights plugged into it.
Okay. How big is your inverter?
2,000 watts.
2,000 watt?
Yep.
Okay. So most of the time you're running strictly off the inverter even when
Yes.
you're plugged in, because
Yeah.
it just mainly most of the time just runs
keeps
the
the batteries
charger
charged,
and
yep.
keeps the batteries charged up. Okay.
Yep. And that does everything I need to do unless I decide to cheap out on the propane and run the electric heater,
Okay.
which if I've got electricity, I usually will do that.
All righty.
So then, we'll see how many other things I forgot when we start walking. So that's shore power coming in. Stabilizer jacks are just, I don't know, from Amazon. I screwed them on there. And
Yeah, but you got the cool ones. Those are the ones that to me it looks like they'd be a lot more stable than the
well,
scissor
I
jack
started out with the
style.
scissor jacks,
Uh-huh.
and I was completely not happy with them for two reasons. One, I had to store them because they weren't attached, and two, they didn't seem like they really helped much.
Yeah.
So I got these, and I'm happy with them on both counts. They're much more convenient to use, and it seems like they stabilize
Okay.
better. And then you can see my gray tank dump there. All that is just gray, so there's no black tank.
Okay, so we'll talk about that for a little bit because we do have one of our viewers has been asking a lot of questions about how to hang tanks underneath, and you do have gray tanks that are fitting between, or some people call them black tanks, but you have a different kind of a potty that has its own tank on the inside, if I remember correctly,
Yep,
a porta potty type
absolutely.
deal. But the tanks you're using are the ones that fit between the floor joists.
Yes.
And there was a little bit of, we're not real sure if they're 20 gallon or 16.
They're somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yeah, somewhere. All the research I've done, the biggest I can find in the black ones that have the 3-inch dump on them, then that's what you have here.
I believe so, yeah.
The biggest I've ever been able to find is 16 gallon capacity. So, but there might be some others out there that I haven't found yet. But you have two of them, is that correct?
That's right. I put two in between the adjacent joist bays so that I could get a capacity a little bit closer to my freshwater tank,
Okay.
because clearly that's kind of important.
I understand. And one is for the sink and the other one is for the shower, is that right?
Well, they're tied together because there's only one dump.
Ah,
And then what turned out to work really well is because of their location in the trailer, I could just dump the sink and the shower into one of them straight down and dump the kitchen sink into the other one straight down. I didn't have to tie them all together
Right.
and do any plumbing. So
Right.
that worked out pretty well.
right.
I'd like to say I planned it that way, but
Now, was there ready-made inlets on these tanks, or
No, I
did you
had
have
to
to use
cut
like the uniseals? Are you familiar with uniseals?
I've heard you reference them, and I'm not sure what they are. I got some kind of a kit that you drilled a hole and stuck
Yeah.
your rubber grommet in, and
Yeah,
that's
which
how
is
you did it.
yeah, and that's the one that I always used was the Uniseal brand, but it's the same thing of what you're
Okay.
talking about. So
Yeah.
I'm sure there's others out there under a different brand name, but yeah, we're talking about the same thing. And those are pretty easy to use too.
They weren't bad to use. The only problem was where the tank is and where my drain ended up coming out. I wasn't quite in the flat part of the tank anymore,
Yeah.
so it made it a little bit dicier.
Ah,
I
gotcha.
think in retrospect, I don't know quite how I would have done it, but they're made to hang. There's a flange on the top of the tank, and they're made to hang.
Right.
But you waste a lot of space above whatever the depth of that I-beam going across is. You waste a lot of that space to get it up in there
That's
and
correct.
set it down. So if I had cut a hole in the floor and hung it from the floor and then raised the floor slightly, because that lip is only about 2 inches,
Right.
I would have gained clearance down below,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't have lost much above. But
Yeah.
hindsight being 20/20.
Well, and that was my next question about how much do you have hanging below the cross members, and you've pretty much explained that. And but yeah, they do have a flange on them. So if a guy was really thinking about it and ordered a taller trailer to accommodate
Right.
raising the floor, that's how you could work around that. Is just cut a hole where those things would drop down in, and the flange on the tank itself would support it.
Right.
Yeah.
That point right there is the lowest point where, obviously it's the drain, and then the tanks taper up from there.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it hasn't been a problem.
Now, did you make your own wheel chocks like this to tighten them like that?
Somebody on YouTube said you can make them, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
It works.
I noticed that. That's pretty cool.
All you got to have is a threaded rod and a ratcheting wrench to tighten them and loosen them. And
yeah, and you can make them for practically nothing. You can find the right
just
scraps
what you have
somewhere.
laying around. I bought the rods.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Anything else you want to show us outside before we go in?
That's the furnace vent. This is the water heater.
Okay.
This is an addition because the fridge was not always working real well when it was hot. So there's a vent in the floor, and then there's a vent here, and some airflow behind the fridge to ventilate that better.
Very good idea.
And that there is one of the things that I would do differently. That's the range exhaust hood that I have never used.
Okay.
And was just kind of a pain to install and didn't need to be there.
I got you. Oh, you go ahead.
I'll just be in the way probably.
No. You might have to catch me. All righty,
you
here
didn't
we
hit your
are.
head. I'm
no,
impressed.
I didn't. No, you're just the right height. I don't have to worry about hitting my head. I'm going to step over here.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about the front part of the trailer first.
All right.
And you're the star, so
I am the star.
Start talking.
Scary. So this obviously is your standard converts into a bed kind of a deal. Main thing we do in the camper is eat, cook, and sleep. So this is where all the eating happens. Storage up there is for personal effects for people that sleep in this bed usually, and then this is food and other important things. The water tank is under here. It's probably dirty and messy, but that's the big old water tank, and the pump is buried back there in the corner along with the pressure tank.
And how big is your water tank?
Well, you got me questioning now, but I believe it's a little over 40 gallons.
Okay.
So somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
Usually when all four of us are using it, if we can fill our 3 5-gallon cans every day and dump them in, we're in great shape.
So there's 4 in the family. I just picked up on that.
Yep,
so
yep.
I'm assuming it's a wife and 2 kids.
It's a mom and a brother and a sister.
A mom. Oh, okay. Yeah. And how old are the youngins?
Not young.
Oh, okay.
You're seeing 4 adults got to live in here.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's why it kept getting a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
But it works out well.
Yeah. And of course that drops down, makes into a bed.
This drops down, makes into a bed. Yep. Yep. The leg just hinges back, and
assuming you got storage underneath.
Storage in here as well. Yeah, I ate some of it up by adding my cooler, but yeah, there's storage there.
Now, when we say cooler, we're not talking air conditioner. We're talking.
This usually is making ice so that I can put it in the real cooler that we carry with us during the day.
Okay. Okay, mighty fine.
Today it's just making ice bottle water.
And we'll go ahead and get this out of the way. You don't use an air conditioner.
No air conditioner.
Okay.
No.
And tell us why.
Because I like it warm, and we usually camp in the mountains, and mountains are usually cold.
There you go.
And so it's really never been an issue except for a very few times in Iowa where we go camping in the summer, and we'd open the window and run the fan, and usually it cools off at night. So
yeah,
hasn't been a problem.
We have friends we visit in Indiana, and it always cools down at night.
Yeah.
Up there, in Indiana, so we're familiar with what you're talking about.
There's usually about 2 weeks where it stays hot at night.
Yeah.
And those 2 weeks have led me to put an air conditioner in my house.
Okay.
But I didn't build it with air conditioning, and it's not a very big deal to me. I like to be warm.
All righty. And before we swap ends, you can tell us about your range right here.
Okay. Well, this was one of the things that was important to me, was having an oven and 3 burners. I mean, I would have liked 4, but I can live with 3. Like I said, I like to cook and like to eat, so that's a gas combination there. The only thing I dislike about it is that they didn't put a spark igniter in the oven. You got to light that one manually. Other than that, you got the spark igniter on top, and I keep those 3 burners pretty busy. The fridge is just your regular 110 volt fridge, and could be bigger, but I wouldn't want to give up the space probably, so it's a compromise like everything in these things.
Sure.
Usually ends up being.
You bet. You bet. All right, I guess we'll swap ends now.
Okay.
All right, let me get over here. And, and we don't want to forget mentioning this. Right here, you've got a fire extinguisher. Looks like it's pretty handy right
Yep.
there where it's at. What's behind this area in here?
So that's storage for the top bunk.
Oh, okay.
So that's where my clothes go.
All right.
And also the battery monitor and all that fun stuff there.
Okay.
And then we got a little closet here for clothes and overflow stuff there as well. And kitchen stuff, I've got I shouldn't show you this one, but there's my water heater. And then the furnace is back in here.
And it's a propane water heater back in there.
Propane water heater and propane furnace.
Okay.
So I've got a half-inch line that runs behind here for those 3 appliances from the garage there. And the vent hood that I shouldn't have put in, but did.
And you got a decent sized sink here.
I have a decent sized sink. It's good enough to clean my fry pan, although it's just a little bit on the small side.
I got you.
That's how that works. And that dish dryer drainer thing, you know, it folds up if you empty it. But honestly, I just leave it down all the time because it's so handy and it leaves the counter space free.
Yeah.
So I like that really well.
That's the second one I've seen so far this week because we just did a walkthrough on another trailer and they had the same thing.
I think I was visiting with that gentleman and I was like, well, that looks really familiar. And you're like, it came from IKEA. And I said, well, I know mine didn't come from IKEA. And actually mine looks a little bit different because this pan is clear rather than white plastic. Very similar. And I love it. It works great.
Cool. Yeah, Deb's already trying to figure out how we can use one. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm the one that gets to install it. And then, of course, if we got lights we can turn on for the buttons.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Those are the easy lights.
Yeah, that's all we need.
There's another one back in there.
So we got a couple of nice, comfortable, it looks like they're nice and comfortable bunks here.
Oh, I think they're comfortable.
Yeah, well, they look comfortable. They look comfortable. And you're your own little cocoon, you know. And I like that too.
I like to sleep in the dark. So it works.
Me too.
It works pretty well.
Yeah, awesome. Then, of course, the restroom.
We're going to run out of room here.
That's
I'm
okay.
afraid,
you step in here and I'll oh, I see. I'm in the. Okay, I got to hold my stomach in.
Yeah, you're in the mirror.
I'm in the mirror. But you got your
at the porta potty
right there, and you've got a decent
teeny
shower.
tiny shower. But this thing that I heard about on YouTube lets you put the curtain out.
Right.
And that
you
makes
can shape those tracks any way you want.
Yes,
too.
yes.
Yeah.
I got a little carried away shaping it out, but you know it doesn't feel any too small when you're inside it. So it works pretty good. And stuck a little clothes drying line up there in case I've got something wet. I can hang it in the shower and it'll dry.
And nice little sink here.
Yep.
This is really a nice little bathroom. The way you've got it laid out, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Is there anything behind here? Is that where the bunk goes? Yeah, the bunk goes all the way back.
Bunk goes all the way back. Right, that's what makes it work. So
mighty fine, mighty fine. All righty, cool. This thing's neat. I like it. I like it. Well, James, thanks so much for taking the time to show us your creation here.
It's been interesting to see all the different ones, and of course I've watched a lot of your videos over the years, and
we appreciate that.
And those have been interesting as well, and most of them don't sleep 4 people.
yeah.
So
including ours.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's just not the niche that they're in, I guess.
That's
I have
right.
seen a few that do, so I stole some ideas from everybody and put them all together.
And that's why we do all these walkthrough videos, so everybody can have an opportunity to see different ideas, you know, and might be able to use them for their particular application. You bet.
So here's one thing that's a little bit different. Maybe, I don't know. I probably stole it from somebody. There's my furnace, my tank heat, my water pump, and my water heater. Those switches actually control relays that are mounted under the sink.
Okay.
So there's no high amperage going through those switches.
Right. Yeah.
And that keeps them, supposedly will keep them happy longer.
I agree. Yeah. Well, you know, they use those in the automotive industry everywhere.
That's what they are, the automotive relays.
Yeah.
Because they're 12 volt.
And there's a reason why.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. This is pretty cool. It really is. Really is. Really cool. And we really appreciate you taking the time to show it to us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
my
sure
pleasure.
enough. But for right now, we're going to say goodbye to everybody. So this is Bill and James.
Yes.
With I Ride Tiny House Adventures. I'm going to say we're not camping.
We're living.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Bye-bye now.